Thank you very much, Jonathan, for your thought leadership presentation. And of course, we will meet with Mix Telematics throughout this conference. In fact, we will already meet in the upcoming session, ladies and gentlemen. After 4 great presentations about the way connected technology brings value to a future-proof fleet management, it's now time to match the developments of the supplier industry with the expectations of the fleet customer. Only a perfect match will lead to increased fleet and mobility success. Welcome to the keynote debate with our founding partner Mix Telematics, for which I have the honor to introduce Glen Mitchell. He is Head of Product Management. And the voice of the fleet customer, ladies and gentlemen, lies with Alexander Merkel, Area Fleet and Travel Manager at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Gentlemen, welcome. Welcome in the debate. It's great you are joining the conference. For the first round, we will keep it very simple. Tell me how many vehicles you have connected across Europe. And first up is Glen of Mix Telematics.
Across Europe, we have in the range of about 40,000 vehicles connected to our platform.
Okay. Alexander, also the same question for you. You are a fleet manager. How many connected vehicles do you have at the moment?
We are rolling out the connection in Europe, and we have so far about 200 vehicles live, and we will have 800 live by the end of the year.
Okay, very good. Glen, when we talk about connected technology for fleets, where do you see the most benefits and value? Is it in route optimization? Is it fuel efficiency, safety? What do you think?
I think the easy answer is it's yes to all of those. But that doesn't really talk to the essence of the potential of connected fleet technology. I think the better way to talk about value and benefits is at the highest level, connected fleet technology delivers data and insights upon which you can make better decisions in regards to the more effective and efficient use of capital and operational expenditure, and ultimately impacting the end customer's experience. This data is derived, data and the insights which are derived from it also create visibility of the relationships between various parts within a transport operation. And what we find is it shows that everything is actually interconnected. So your fleet safety is connected to your maintenance. Your maintenance is connected to your vehicle availability. Your vehicle availability has impacts on your ability to deliver to your end customers' expectations. And a similar sort of connecting of the dots can also be thought about in your cost of service delivery as well. So I think the short story is that it's not just one area where you'll see most of the benefits realized. It really depends on each individual fleet's challenges that they have. But the connected fleet technology, the real value is providing that holistic view of overall operational efficiency. And then it allows the fleet manager to target improvement interventions across the enterprise over time. You can't solve all the problems at once. You have to work into them. So I think that's the key message there.
Okay. Alexander, what is the reason for you and your company to have vehicles equipped with telematics and connected technology?
The church started a number of years ago to connect vehicles in the US, mainly for safety purposes and to train our drivers to drive better, drive safer. And that, of course, led to less accident, less fatalities, and less cost to repair vehicles. When we were asked to roll it out in Europe as well, we thought it would be smart to connect the safety with the fleet insights. And we would like to receive more data than just the coaching for the driver, but also see what is the status of the vehicle. Is there maintenance due? What's the tire pressure? Is there any emergency light on that the driver might overlook? And these kind of things. And we connected the cost savings that are important for us as fleet management with the safety aspects that are important to us as fleet management and for the overall organization.
Are there any other soft wins that you see already with the vehicles that you have equipped with telematics, Alexander?
Absolutely. The recent example, one of our vehicles was in an accident and it was towed away, the driver in hospital, not remembering anything of the accident. Telematics was able to tell us, first of all, where was the vehicle towed to, and second of all, what exactly led to the accident and what were the circumstances right before the impact.
So, Glen, do you have the impression that corporate fleet managers, and probably not Alexander, but others, understand the true benefits of connected technology, or is there still education that needs to be done?
Yeah, it's an interesting and a tough question, to be honest. I'd like to say that 100% of the prospective fleet managers we talk to and engage with understand what we're saying. But there's an undertone of skepticism about the value and ROI story, and we accept that. But as a supplier, we see it as a big challenge to be able to prove the value and prove it quickly. Even with 25 years of customer success behind us at Mixed Telematics, just providing case studies and references isn't enough sometimes. You need to be able to deploy the technology in the customer's environment and prove its value very quickly to get them to buy into the process. And I also think there's another trend at play here. A lot of fleet managers today, you could say, have been around a long time. They've adapted to new technologies. But as the next generation of people come into the workforce, are more comfortable with technology, have higher expectations of what's possible, I think we'll start to see a better understanding of the value of the technology, the data and the insights. And on the flip side, that'll create more demanding customers, which is a good thing, I think.
That's a good thing, indeed. Alexander, how did you go in selling connected technology internally, knowing that there can always be some resistance and fear in terms of change, but also data privacy and so on?
Thanks. That's a very good question, and that is a concern. Absolutely, most people don't like to find out that they are tracked. However, the easiest to break that wall down is to let them see what we see and explain to them that the mass of data, if you have a number of vehicles on the road, makes it impossible for us to go and watch at every single person the whole time. We just simply don't have time to do that. And also, it was important to get management on board, to have them see what we see and see the benefits we see in the system. And it was easy for most of the drivers. They accepted and said, oh yeah, sure. If it's only looked at if something happened, or if there's a good reason to look at that, or if it is to help me if I'm in need, if I had an accident and I get immediate help instead of having to call an ambulance myself. That's the benefits that stick to the driver, and the manager saw the benefits of the system.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Glen, do you think that Alexander's strategy is the right one, or do you have an extra tip, let's say, for fleet managers that encounter some difficulties to sell telematics internally?
No, I think Alexander's on the right track. I used to work in a transport environment. I used to be a buyer of this technology, and that's exactly the process we went through. I think the other one interesting aspect of it from experience is that technology like connected fleet technology can help change the culture of an organization. If you use the technology and the data and the information in the best way, you can create engagement between different groups within your organization. And that goes a long way to making people more collaborative, more focused on identifying and solving problems to the benefit of everyone, all of your stakeholders that you have. And so the data and the visibility of what's going on can bring people together. And it's a soft thing, but it's very important to success.
Alexander, what are the issues, challenges perhaps, you as a corporate fleet buyer might have when looking for the right telematics product? Because there are several suppliers, several solutions on the market. So I can imagine that it's not a straightforward thing when you go into the market and try to tender for telematics.
You're absolutely right. It's not easy. It's not straightforward. And if there is the one thing that suppliers can do better, it would be listen to the customer and listen to what they need instead of trying to sell the product that's already ready on the shelf. We know there's different approaches for all the suppliers, and some have focused on one issue or one element of the connected fleet. Others have looked into other things, and they try to sell a ready product. What we looked for is a provider that was open and listened to us and said, okay, what is it you want from the system? And then see if we can make that possible with the solution we have, or if we need to work together on a better solution.
Glen, do you listen enough to your customers?
I think we do, but the question is, could we listen more? And I think the answer to that is yes. It is a challenge, especially with a global customer base that we have at Mixed Telematics. It is a challenge getting around to see all of our customers and also prospects as well. But it's definitely the key of finding product market fit. Is to really listen and be open to understanding new businesses and and what problems they have to solve.
Glen, what are the key criteria to look at if you as a fleet manager, and you have been on the other side, you as a fleet manager are going to buy connected technology? You are the specialist, you now work at Mixed Telematics, so you know the secrets. So what are the key criteria that fleet managers should look at?
Yeah, this is a great question. I think the first one is you need to understand your challenges and objectives. You need to have that baseline, that reference to go back to, and then be able to map all those varying competing solutions to what you're trying to achieve. I think evaluating the technical or feature side of the offerings that are available is actually the easy part. What I think is much more challenging is how you can sustain that investment over the long period to deliver value to your business. And that's not the technical things. That comes down to being able to evaluate the people supplying it, who's installing it, the support of it, and how is that supplier going to partner with you, grow with you, and help you to achieve your objectives over time. And it's very important that you evaluate those aspects in the context of your operational environment, because every transport operation has different things. They've got different challenges. And another thing I'd advise our fleet customers to do when they're looking at new technologies is to ask their suppliers, what is the customer experience journey you're going to take me on? Here is where I am today. This is where I need to get to. What's the journey you're going to take me on with your technology? What are the key milestones towards achieving my objectives after I've signed the contract with you? And if I'm not hitting those milestones, what are you going to do to help me to get to that next milestone so I can then keep growing and keep getting the value? And I think finally, just to wrap this one up, is that what a lot of fleet managers don't ask when they're looking at technology investments is they don't ask the suppliers, what do I have to invest in people and time to get the value from your technology? Right, and this is a big gap, because you don't want to be surprised that you sign the contract and realize you've got to hire 10 people to use this new technology. That's not heading in the right direction. It needs to be much more efficient and streamlined than that with the technology that's available today.
Alexander, you have at the moment around 200 vehicles in Europe equipped with connected technology. Can you share some of the results that you already are seeing?
Yes, thank you. One was the accident I shared earlier. That's just one of the examples we see. We see engine information, we see engine failures, we see speeding events, and one of the positive aspects is we see a reduction of speeding tickets for the connected vehicles. Our vehicles talk to the driver if they're too fast, and therefore we can see enormous reduction of speeding tickets, and that's a lot of work less in our offices, and that's time we can spend on using the system even better.
So for you, it's already today a good investment.
Absolutely. There was no doubt when we started that this will be a win for the organization, a win for the individual driver, and especially for us in fleet management. The return of invest is there. We, of course, didn't know when we start, but it's already we can already put an amount to it of time saved and money saved based on that.
Okay. Glen, what is the return on investment of connected technology? Can you picture that?
Yes, I can. We've got a long history of case studies from successful customers in various verticals that talk to measurable ROI. Our rule of thumb baselines are if you're just using basic GPS tracking, that starts you off at about a 3-to-1 return on investment. If you move up in complexity into full connected vehicle telematics, that gets you into the 5-to-1, 7-to-1 ROI range. And then to really kick it into top gear, if you add in AI-based video telematics on top of your connected vehicle telematics, this gets you up into the 10-to-1 plus range. And these are just baselines. We believe these are conservative as well. And it really depends on how the customer adopts that technology, how well it's accepted, as to where they will end up on their actual ROI. But there's another thing that's coming out in the ROI space that's becoming more front of mind. It's not just financial return on investment, but it's related to environmental sustainability as well. In the not too distant future, every business, every fleet is going to be actively managing their environmental impact as a matter of necessity, as opposed to today, a fringe activity today. And I think we need to have different conversations about return on investment in that environmental sustainability context.
Let's look into the future of technology. Of course, we don't have a crystal ball, but we hope, of course, that with your sharp minds, we can have a look into that future. I would like to go to the first question. So, Glen, perhaps, is there a risk for the so-called function creep?
Yes, I think that risk is prevalent in any technology domain. And it can be viewed positively and negatively. As a technology supplier, if a customer finds new ways to use our technology and the resulting information, and they do it constructively, that's a good thing. We don't have a problem with that. And it allows us to actually collaborate with them more closely to uncover new value. On the flip side of that, more negative, especially around data privacy for drivers specifically, I think this is a real risk. And the data, the video can be used in a less than constructive manner. And it can also be used in a way that will breach their rights. It's a tough one to protect against as a technology supplier, because ultimately the company that buys the technology is calling the shots on how it's actually used. So we take a view that we need to cater for all stakeholders that our technology impacts, including the driver, and we need to give them the options. The visibility of how their data is being used is really important, and secondly, to give them a certain level of control over how it's collected and when it's collected. And if we can do that, then I believe it makes a big difference to keep people engaged and working together constructively. So that's sort of how I see that the function creep problem.
Okay. In what way, Alexander, was that a risk for you and your company, the possibility of function creep?
Well, there's always the risk, but as I said, we need to outline what we want to use the system for, and then we set ourselves boundaries we won't overstep, even though it's possible technology-wise. I think it's positive as well, because as soon as you start using the technology, you see all sorts of new ways how it could be used. And you see how it's not only the fleet that talks to the fleet management or the driver, but it could also talk to the suppliers. It could talk to workshops. It could talk to repair companies. And that's what the future will bring. And that's the positive outcome, I think, and the positive of evolving technology.
So we don't need to be so negative about what the technology can do and will do. Glen, what can we expect from machine learning and artificial intelligence to support vehicle fleet management?
I think we can and should be expecting a great deal from these AI-based technologies. In simple terms, the insights derived from large amounts of data will be the central value proposition fleet managers will be seeking in the future to help them run a more efficient business. In today's world, that starts with machine vision, aiding driver performance management and safety, gets into predictive maintenance and route optimization. I think where it's going to lead is unknown at this point. It's fuzzy. The fascinating part when you work with AI-based technologies is that it's a journey of discovery. You have to immerse yourself in the data and the data science techniques to discover the relationships between all the things that are happening in the physical world and to uncover new areas of opportunity for improvement. I think it's a mistake for people to think you can go into this domain thinking you know all the questions to ask. That's the beauty of it. When you just go through discovering the data that you have available and what it can do, it allows you to ask new questions that you never thought to ask for in the past.
Alexander, what are the disciplines where you would like telematics to be even better in the future? Are there any disciplines where you say this is perhaps something that would be ideal if via data we could also track this or do that?
That's a hard question to answer because, as we mentioned before, there's many suppliers on the market and they all have kind of solutions, and many of them think they know everything already or can track everything already. Mm-hmm. I think it would be important to stick with a number of key elements that the vehicles should provide, and if there's anything we as customers would wish, if the product would be implemented when the car comes from the factory directly, because that saves a lot of hassle of installing and reinstalling. Maybe the manufacturers should look a little more into telematics and the possibility it provides, even for them, for getting a better product on the market without having to test too much. I mean, there's a lot for that industry to learn from telematics and from their own data, because the vehicles provide the data, so it's already there. So that would be something we as fleet managers would love to see.
Mm-hmm. Glen, what is your reaction on that statement of Alexander?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Alexander's right on the money there. The source of the data is becoming less and less important. What really matters in today's world and for the future is not who provides the data, it's who provides the best insights based on that data. And OEMs have a big role to play in that in our collective futures around fleet management. But I think they're coming to terms with how they will play in that data landscape and what value they can provide. And we're working with them. But there's a long journey ahead of us. But we've made a start, which is great.
To continue with you, Glen, do you think that connected solutions will become cheaper in the future or even free of charge in the future? I'm talking about the hardware.
The hardware, that's interesting. Realistically, I can't see connected technology becoming free in the future. And I'm not just saying that as a technology provider who has to run a sustainable business. I think as a fleet manager, you're going to be paying for it somewhere in your supply chain, whether it's embedded in the product you buy from the vehicle manufacturer or you do it aftermarket. So there is value there, and value is not necessarily given away for free. Will it become cheaper? That's hard to say. My take is over time, we all level up. Our expectations of what we consider baseline functionality or table stakes increases over time. And what will happen is this will drive down the cost of that baseline functionality. So you'll expect to pay less for that baseline. However, I think when we talk about what AI-based technologies can provide, new emerging technologies are going to deliver new business value. And by its nature, that business value will come at a market-driven price. Conceptually, if you can prove a new value proposition to a fleet manager and the return on investment, you could name a fair price for that technology enabler and the service, which is above what fleet managers are paying today. So I think the key message there, it's all relative. It depends on the problem that you've identified, the solution to it, and the relative and the way in which the fleet manager values that solution as to the premium you would charge for that.
Okay. Let's discuss the role of the customer and the role of the supplier. Glen, how will connected technology change the role of the fleet and mobility manager?
Yeah, this is a great question, and you can see this. You can see the change over time, and what fleet managers are dealing with on a daily basis. What their day looks like when they go to work. One perspective, I think, is that with effective technology solutions behind them, with great data and insights from the data, fleet managers can start to play a broader role in the overall operation of their business, and not just be sort of pigeonholed into the fleet domain. And I think this is especially true when applying data science techniques to data which comes from telematics, but also starts to pull in data from the periphery, from other sources like your order management systems, your ERPs, your warehousing systems, dispatch, those sorts of things, even data sources from outside of your organization. So in effect, knowledge becomes power to influence within your enterprise to help change perspectives on what is possible to achieve sustainable growth while balancing key factors such as risk and environmental impact. So I think the future is bright for fleet managers that get on board and understand the value of this technology and how to use it as a collaborative tool within their organization.
Mm-hmm. Alexander, how has it changed your role?
It is constantly changing. It gives us more insight, and that means we have more time to plan. We have less reaction time on emergencies, so we can react as and when needed. We're partly automating some of the repair processes. We can partly automate some of the processes on like reports. You wouldn't imagine how much time is spent on reporting current odometer readings, and if that is automated, that takes a lot of time from you and from the driver and makes it easier, and this time can be used in looking at the industry and looking what the future fleet will look like. We can use our time to electrify our fleet. We have knowledge now of what the usage is, the current usage is, and we know where we could place electric vehicles already. All these things, it's already helping us to change our fleet to a more environment-friendly fleet right now because we have the data.
And except from better listening to you, what other main advice do you have for Glen and the other industry partners to better serve you in the future?
I think the key there is don't limit yourself to what you know already, but as we heard before from Glen, is like let's be open. Let's look what is possible together, what is wanted and what is available already, and what can we work together on to make it even better for the customer. I think there is no end to the usage of it, and when we talk about can we afford this, I think fleets cannot afford not to have telematics in their vehicles because of not only the return of invest, the safety, all the other aspects we've spoken about, but all the unknown that lies in the future that we don't know yet.
That's a great statement to end this panel discussion. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Glen Mitchell of our founding partner, Mix Telematics, thank you for your presence and sharing your expertise. And Alexander Merkel of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Thank you for your engagement. It was a pleasure hosting this panel, and I'm sure that also our audience has received extremely valuable insights. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue the Connected Fleets Conference, taking a closer look at your connectivity partners for the future. In our next session, our conference gold partners here, Lytx, Octo, Ubench and Webfleet Solutions will pitch their added value for you and your fleet drivers and try to convince you of their added value for your fleet and mobility program. Enjoy!